everyone. So I have my new little mic, so I hope you guys can hear me clearly. And in this video, I want to talk again about the topic of sugar daddies. I made a video about this before, just kind of in an objective viewpoint, and in this video, I kind of want to share more about my personal experience being confronted with this topic and to give my personal advice about what girls should do if they're ever considering this. Um, I think it's a big sort of shadow aspect of society that goes on a lot behind the scenes and in various different ways. Um, just in general, like monetizing femininity or beauty and stuff like that. So I want to preface by saying that the reason I created an objective video is because I firmly believe that nobody should be crusading or telling anyone how to live their life. For me, I'm sharing this from my heart for like other women out there that may be in a situation maybe where they're financially challenged or they have sort of offers but they're like on the fence. So I kind of want to share in a sisterly way like what I suggest, and it's just my opinion. So I have been confronted with this issue very often throughout my life. I'm born and raised in LA, and I, I would say it's a very like well-known hub for kind of like sugar daddies, sugar babies. I mean, you can drive down the street and see like tons of like billboards. Everyone knows about these different websites, and so a lot of women come across this sort of topic, and it's a very like glamorous idea, right? It's like, oh my god, so you can just have like a boyfriend that pays for everything, and like maybe you like him and it'll be great and stuff like that. So it's definitely a glamorous idea. So a lot of women have created profiles and like checked out these websites. I've done that before just to kind of like see what's on there. um, so when I like browse on these websites, I've seen that it's typically obviously like older men that want to get a woman that they probably otherwise wouldn't get, just based on their looks and personality, or at least that's what they believe. So their inner sense of worth feels like, okay, like I probably can't get a woman like this naturally, so let me like leverage my money. Or, you know, um, since our society is very like not heart centered when it comes to relationships, a lot of guys view it as like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to a bar and pay for drinks and things like that anyway, and I'm a busy professional, so like let me just go on this website and like look for the girls on here, and it's typically also well known that like beautiful women who have high self-esteem, high self-confidence, um, think that they're worth more. So they think, they feel like, a man should spend money on me. Like, you should be paying for my time. Which inherently, it's not bad to like view yourself as someone who is worthy of, nice things and a man like doting on you. But of course, it's more about like the way that it's done. Um, I also want to say that personally for me, and I know for a lot of women that come from more ethnic backgrounds, I said that with an accent, backgrounds, that come from like ethnic backgrounds. I'm Middle Eastern, my family's Egyptian, I'm first generation American, and I know that a lot of like Latin cultures, even Asian cultures, African, like a lot of our cultures kind of program women and sort of let women know that basically, um, like your money comes from your husband, and like the man is a provider, which in a sense it is sort of a natural way. Like it is natural for a man to be like the protector and the provider, but again, it's like the nuance, right? And it's about like how it's done. Personally for me, a lot of my programming was basically that in the Middle East, women don't really work. Like you only work as extra, but like your man is the one that works and your man's the one that provides for you. So of course, it's easy to kind of take that programming into thinking, okay, well, I can work, but maybe I won't be able to make as much as a guy, or like I can work, but in the end, it's a man's responsibility to provide for me. So just kind of giving you guys a like context of how it happens that women end up being kind of like swayed into these categories. So I personally never actually like followed through and like set up any arrangements or things like that. I sort of was more like a researcher and like exploring and kind of like, oh, like maybe that would be cool, but you know, there was no follow through. Like I couldn't do it. I once signed up on this dating website that is sort of like a dating auction. And online dating is terrible. But of course, this was just like another fun thing to try that I wanted to explore. So this was like a dating auction website, not a sugar daddy website. And basically, the men on this website, they like bid for dates to go out on dates with you, and they'll pay anything from like $100 to like $500 just for the opportunity to basically like meet women that are out of their league. And I remember like um, being like really excited, like, oh my god, like I'm getting paid just to go on dates. Like I go on dates all the time that are like boring and that I don't like. Well, now I could just get paid for going out to eat dinner. And a lot of women like were like brainwashed to think like that, like, oh yeah, like free dinner and like things like that, which is actually really like a scarcity mindset. It's like if you change your mindset, like, and you realize like how abundant you are, you can manifest so much more than like these petty things, like a few $100s or whatever. So anyways, what I saw is going out on these dates, were a lot of these men, like they really wanted like love, and um, it felt sort of, even though like they were paying for the dates, like it felt kind of like it was a fun idea, but it actually felt sad to me that these guys like wanted something more, like they really were looking for love. Sometimes they were actually using it to like look for women who wanted a sugar arrangement. Everyone's on there for different reasons, but when like you just feel something's off, and it's not right, I feel like your heart always tells you like this is right, this is wrong. So for me, just having that brief experience with like the dating website was like, this isn't right. Like love is not supposed to be monetized, sexuality is not supposed to be monetized. um, Not because of morality is just, it's conceptual, it comes from religion and culture. But true morality to me is just consciousness, and it's self-regulated. So it's not about right and wrong and you're good and you're bad. It's just about like intelligence, conscious intelligence. Like, is this best gonna serve me? And I think when it comes to all these like sugar relationships, it doesn't. And I actually had I witnessed a really terrifying experience of when these sugar relationships go wrong, because I think that people like kid themselves about how it can really work out and if they really enjoy it. I had a roommate several years ago who I she had met my employer. So one of the companies that I worked for, um, my employer like had met her, and he was really like attracted to her. He saw her on like my Facebook or something like that. So he's like, oh, can you introduce me? Things like that. I was like, okay. And so between them, they sort of worked out this like sugar arrangement. And you know, I don't even if I don't do something, I don't really like judge other people for doing it. So she was just doing her thing. I was working, whatever. But one day, she obviously, I guess she wasn't really like heart committed to it, and I guess she had gone out on a date with another person, and somehow he found out. He like came to the apartment and like saw her car wasn't there, and then basically he confronted her, and they got into this huge fight, and literally it became violent. She pulled out a knife and stabbed him, because he was like it got really bad, and I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, like there was like blood spattered on the wall. I thought he was dead, but I guess she like stabbed him somewhere like not near any vital organs. It was so terrifying, and I remember the next day, like I gave her, you know, like Reiki, energy healing, and was just like trying to be supportive, and like it was just such a like dark feeling, and that was again, I think the universe like showing me look what happens like in this kind of abusive dynamic where people are just using each other. And I don't think it's all the women's fault. I think it's also like it's a two-party situation. So I think as men also, like men have to be aware that, you know, if you're going to be paying for something, or if you're going to be, you know, trying to compensate for like real love and connection, that be prepared that it might not be like real love and connection. So that's my experience, and basically the main point I want to share in this video is to question your programming, like question your beliefs, especially as women, especially as men. You know, women, we're so, a lot of our programming is just like around playing it small, around like not believing like we can financially make as much money as men or stuff like that. And it's all false, because once you like break through this programming, you realize like you can be so abundant. Like I'm grateful that now, instead of going down that path, like I've actually found a way to like monetize, you know, helping men mostly, like, and um instead of like taking advantage of men and, you know, like using them for whatever like luxuries I want, I have found a way to actually monetize, like allowing men to find love. Like almost every client that I've worked with like will manifest a relationship within like a couple months, and I think that's pretty magical. So it's so important like not to fall for like societal brainwashing, like any type of programming and stuff like that. um, Also important not to like judge other people, but like it's okay to speak your truth. Like just because something, you know, your opinion's not popular, like people don't necessarily agree with your way of thinking, um, it's important to share ideas and like, you know, talk about these things that are not so often talked about, and like shine light on them, and just continue our evolution as a society. This is kind of like an age-old dynamic, you know, just where they say like, um, you know, monetizing sexuality. If you think about like prostitution, not saying like sugar relationships or that, but just when it comes to monetizing sex or monetizing love, um, it's been around for so long, and is it actually serving us? Because what I experience is whenever you bring money into sex and into love, because sex often leads to attachment and what seems like love, it's usually out of alignment. And I think it's an issue for both genders. It's not just like a women's issue, and it's not just a men's issue, it's both. Like there's a lot in society that kind of like divides and conquers the genders, and I think with this spiritual awakening, like it's time for us to actually like question these beliefs, question these ideas. um, I would love to see a day where women are like, yeah, I'm beautiful, and I can yeah, I'm okay with like using that to attract abundance, but that's not all that I am, you know. um, it can be really hard to identify just with your face, with your body, just be like, this is my money maker, you know. It's like, no, like your whole soul and your body and your face is your money maker, you know. It's like you're so much more complex, so much more dynamic. Your beauty is extends beyond just the physical, and I think it's super important for a woman to know that. And for men, I think it's super important to know that like, um, yes, like on some level women are attracted to money. Like it's just natural. Like we think about, you know, how you can provide for potential children, like what you can provide for us, what a lifestyle will be like. But that doesn't mean that you're only your pockets. You know, it doesn't mean that you should only value yourself based on how much money you make or based on things like that. Like you're also a multi-dimensional being. Like you're not only your career, you're not only what society like says like, oh, you have this much value because you have this many like zeros, in your bank account. Like you're also multi-dimensional, and it's also important for men not to fall into this like, oh, like, like I don't believe in real love, so I'll just pay for it, or like um like women are all the same, and like they all just want money, so just pay for it, whatever. Like I think we're about to have like a conscious evolution in our way of viewing love and sexuality, and that's part of this spiritual evolution, and that's part of what I hope to do with this channel, is just like spread new ideas, new inspiration for us to reconnect, and for us to like tap into like real love again, and to just be connected, yoga, union. So that's my video. I hope you guys like it, and I'll see you in the next one.